The new JJK Modulo spoilers are just insane. It is controversial, it has got people heated and riled up on both sides, calling it the worst ending of all time, calling it a fantastic ending and that everyone else is wrong. This is controversial to say the least, and it is Gege style to off-screen everything right until the end, but mainly with this almost fairy tale-esque ending right here, people really don't like this ending. Even though it's not officially ended, and even though the chapters aren't officially out, people have already formed strong opinions on both sides. So today we will be reviewing JJK Modulo chapter 23. Let's just get right into it because this is going to be a big one. Be sure to leave a like on the video, helps out so much, thank you very much. And of course subscribe for a ton of consistent and quality JJK Modulo content just like this. If you love JJK Modulo, I promise you're not going to get subscribing. So let us just start. Before I even start, I do know I am not using the TCB and Viz. Once the TCB comes out, I will be doing another review using those scanlations because those are the most accurate. They're much more accurate than Viz. And of course, when Viz comes out, we'll either be doing a stream if it's even worth it, because often TCB is just more accurate, or they're just the same. But it's important to note that yes, these are descanlation chapters, or I guess I should say translation of the chapters, but they are very good translations. I do know the person who is translating this. He's a very, very good translator, so I do trust it, but always important to note that, take it with a grain of salt, because it is not TCB or Viz yet. But not to worry, the main idea and my main points aren't going to change from some translational changes. Like, let's say a few things are slightly different, my old points are not going to change. Like, my overall opinion is going to be exactly the same. But again, let's just wait for the TCB. I'll be doing a live stream and a video for that, so let's just start with the actual chapter now, like getting that introduction out of the way. Page 1. So I'll be reading this for you here, and as I read for each page, I'll be reviewing it because it is way too much to just do without reading the pages for you. On the first page it says, Maru and Itadori are aiming for world peace, but, and that's the editor saying that, and then Yuji says, even if cursed energy is removed from Japanese people, cursed spirits will likely still be born. Maru says, huh? What about everything we've been talking about so far? Yuji answers, it's not so much the context of the notebooks are in my head, as it's that I can always feel like I can refer to them. Anyway, the bottom line is that it's almost impossible to completely eliminate cursed energy from human beings. This is something I talked about in my previous video when I actually explained that Yuji's logic makes no sense, and I'm glad that he's actually addressing it now, because for life to exist, there must be cursed energy in some form or shape. If you take away cursed energy truly, like fully, that would just create the whole world being Toji and markets. Even plants, even animals have a bit of cursed energy. But that's different with Japanese people, as Yuji is going to explain, so I'll continue reading this. Anyway, the bottom line is that it's almost impossible to completely eliminate cursed energy from human beings. First, shall we talk about people from overseas, who are said to have no cursed energy? As I said before, cursed energy on Earth is unique to Japanese people and those with Japanese roots, with the exception of a very few outlaws. So we know about this because, let's say, people from Africa like Miguel, there are a few rare American sorcerers like with Momo's parents or grandparents, and even Naname as well, but Naname is part Japanese, so that's where his comes. As Naname was said to be like from Sweden or Switzerland or something, well, part of his genetics. But to continue, that's why cursed spirits are also born overseas. They are few in number, but occasionally a strong one pops up. They're weak yet strong. So it's basically just like we saw with Genisha or Genisha. It's that cursed spirit that Kenjaku summoned. It is actually a deity in Hindu mythology, the son of Shiva, god of destruction, and that came from overseas. So it's just like Yuji is saying, most of the time weak curses are born overseas and they're very few. Sometimes a very strong one can spawn like a deity cursed spirit. Insane by now to page 2. Because cursed energy is weak, it doesn't dissipate and can take shape. The leakage of cursed energy is limited. Weak cursed spirits like the ones in Japan don't grow enough to take shape overseas, and it's been like that about 70 years since the existence of cursed spirit made public. The cursed energy of people overseas has also begun to flow to Tokyo. In other words, even if you eliminate cursed energy from Japanese people, cursed spirits originating from overseas will continue to be born both abroad and in Tokyo just as before. But this is the place that is the path for every human soul, and the souls of living things overseas should be no exceptions. Then it comes down to eliminating cursed energy from all of humanity, including people from overseas, but that's impossible. So basically, to explain it, it's just not going to be possible to remove for the whole planet cursed energy. For Japan, yes, apparently because it's small enough, but the whole planet is too big. But there is a loophole. This place that they're in, the passage between souls, also is for all of humanity. So even people from other countries and other worlds, I guess I should say other worlds, but you know what I mean, other countries, other races, they all come through here. So as you'll see as they're going to discuss now, rather than doing something impossible like affecting everybody, they're basically going to just try and affect everybody who passes through this passage of souls. And they'll explain it in more depth, so there's no need for me to do that since it's about to happen soon. Maru tells him, continue. I ask of my innate technique. Yuji says, in the first, when I've been saying eliminate cursed energy, I meant as much as possible. Isn't Maru's eliminate the same way? Even if you shape the soul to eliminate cursed energy, in the end, from Japanese and Sumerian, won't a faint amount of cursed energy still be released just like overseas? And exactly, that's true. Even if you make Japanese people, like people from overseas, a small amount would still come out of. Then by the same mechanism, mechanism, as those originating overseas, cursed spirits will continue to be born from Japanese people too, though the numbers will decrease significantly. So basically, they can very easily just make Japanese people like everybody else in the world, and the Sumerians too, but they're still gonna have some issues, like there'll still be a small amount of spirit. That is likely so. This time, my technique is being used the harmony between Sumerians and Japanese, because it cannot do anything that would harm someone's physical body. I figured as without the metabolism of cursed energy, there is a high possibility it would be harmful to the body. Now for page 4, the next page. Except for people like Maki Senpai, who have a heavenly restriction when they sacrifice something from birth to enhance themselves. And it's really cool because we get to see a back shot of Maki and Toji side by side looking awesome. Cursed energy cannot be completely eliminated. It is simply part of human karma, and like I was trying to say in my last video, you can't just eliminate cursed energy. In a future world without sorcerers, isn't a risk too high even if a small amount of high angel cursed spirits are born? Which is also true. Like imagine you just remove all cursed spirits and sorcerers, but a small amount will still be born, but with no sorcerers to fight them, these cursed spirits would just literally end the world. It would be an invisible monster nobody can see, and it would just kill everyone, like without stop. And if it's special grade, like the world is ending over there. It's just gonna go around killing everything with nothing to stop. But Yuji says, leave that to me. Given the time I've been granted, which is a bit over 300 years, give or take, that's how long Yuji has left to live, Yuji says I can countermeasure it in place by the next generation, which I think is very reckless of Yuji. I really don't like this idea. He's basically saying, even if there's no sorcerers born, and I'll be the only sorcerer, I'll handle the few cursed spirits. Even though it's just going to be a few in number, the problem is if something happens to Yuji, or if Yuji isn't aware of a cursed spirit for a while, well then the world is pretty much cooked. Like it's putting all your eggs in one Yuji basket. I really don't like any sleep, but I'll say that. It will be much better than the current power balance between cursed spirits. The number of cursed spirits will be basically countable on our hand, and the reconstruction of Tokyo will likely progress. But even so, we, the people of Earth, will once again find ourselves at odds over cursed spirits. And that's what Maru'S says. So basically the problem is, as long as cursed spirits exist even in a tiny form, even if they're a handful, they'll find a friction between the humans and the Sumerians. The cursed spirits just need to be a part of harmony as well, it says. Let's remove the cause that makes the Lumilian tribe confuse cursed spirits with Kalyan. Now it's very interesting, but they add cursed spirits and Kalyans to the box of toys that are going to be affected. A very cute plushie of a Kalyan. I would love to buy this if I could. So page 5. Only those necessary for harmony are called here, right? What difference is there between a cursed spirit and a Kalyan? Why do the Lumilian tribe feel the same way? Isn't the one who will tell us that cursed spirits are evil things? Since they are born from cursed energy, there is nothing that can be done. But just because something looks like a cursed spirit doesn't mean it's necessarily evil. And that is completely true, and I've been trying to say. A Kalyan may look like a spirit, it may be sensed like a spirit, but it is not a spirit. They are fundamentally different. Kalyans are physical beings existing of this world, whereas the cursed spirits are spirits made from negative energy, meaning they're inherently evil, while the Kalyans are not inherently evil. Page 6. And this is an awesome page, by the way, because we see the Tomb of the Stars and a back shot of Choso. I love seeing these battles. Once there was an immortal sorcerer, a person named Tengen. That person was over 500 years old and had become something close to a cursed spirit in existence, but they are by no means a bad person. It's interesting. You might be confused saying, wait, but Tengen is over 1,000 years old. Why is Yuji saying over 500 years? Yuji is specifically referring to the aging aspect of Tengen, because Tengen always did the assimilation with a star plasma vessel that always just reset Tengen's aging, getting a new vessel and taking over that person's body. Whereas now, because Tengen, well, I guess it's dead, but this actually implies Tengen was alive for quite some time after JJK ended. It's just like Akuganji said, we don't know exactly when he died because Yuji is speaking in past tense, so Tengen is no longer around. But that's why it says 500 years, because it was 400 years for, until the Tomb of the Stars event happened, the hidden inventory, and then it's been another 100 years since then. That's where the 500 years comes, because Tengen's age is 500 years. Physically speaking, not including the mergers he's done before. My older brother is a half-breed of a cursed spirit and a human. There were many things like that first, but we were able to understand each other. The reason why Kalyans attack Sumerians, other than the Lumilian class, is it something that comes from a cursed spirit like evil? And the answer is in the next page. Page 7. The color of their souls is the same. A realization coming after Yuji basically just spelled out for him. Now this is awesome because it means Yuji is able to see the color of people's souls and differentiate. Mainly this is because he was the one explaining it to Maru. Now Maru is able to do this probably from harmony and whatnot, maybe even the third eye, but Yuji being able to do this is absolutely nuts. And he's basically educating Maru. To continue, among the many colored souls, only the Kalyan cursed spirits and the Lumilian share the same color. Cursed spirits are vessels made from cursed energy. The problem is that a soul can be housed within that vessel. A soul of the same color as the Kalyans and the Lumilian tribe. That is why we perceive cursed spirits and Kalyans as being of the same nature, and why Kalyans do not attack the Lumilian. So it wasn't a reason to attack, but a reason not to. So this is pretty interesting, but it just completely messes with the religion of all Lumillians, because they always thought the Kalyans, you know, were their gods. They didn't attack them because they came from the Kalyans and this, that, and the other. But it's really funny, but it's not that reason at all. Rather than the Kalyans befriending the Lumillians and seeing them as special and it's the reason they don't attack them, that's what I always thought, because that's how it's portrayed. It turns out the reason the Kalyans don't attack the Lumillians specifically is because of the color of their soul. Because the Lumillians and the Kalyans have the same color souls, the Kalyans, who can see the souls of things, I guess, of people, they just see them as being similar to themselves and thus don't attack them. And that's why the Kalyans attack other people who aren't Lumillians. A very interesting twist, and I really like that a lot. The contradiction of a cursed spirit functioning as a vessel for a soul despite having no physical substance. Has that created a commonality with divine beings across stars? So the problem is like a cursed spirit, as it was just explained, it is a vessel for a soul without having a physical substance. That is what's causing the issue of it being similar, or no, perceived as a divine being as the Kalyan. Does it look like we can do something about it? Then we get page 8 with Yuji looking awesome. Oh, incredible. It is impossible to repaint the color of the soul. There is a way to do it. That is encouraged. But what is the logic behind being able to affect souls that are not yet born? It is not directly for the souls that will be born from now. This, and I foreshadowed this in the beginning of the video, this place where all souls of Earth pass through. By remodeling into a soul branching into and molding device. Oh, sorry, I started that so weird. Let me just say that again. By remolding into a soul branching and molding device. So basically, they're going to literally change this room, or I guess this place of the afterlife, the passage of souls where people go to the afterlife, and they're going to actually make it into a molding device, and I'll continue what Yuji's saying, that will literally scatter the colors of the soul, the shapes of everyone will be adjusted, and cursed energy will be erased as much as possible. So basically, the colors and shapes of the soul will be scattered, meaning that the problem of cursed spirits will also fix, and also how the Lumillians see the Kalyan. So there is no other way. With that method, the Kalyan, who is currently on board the mothership, will, yes, the Kalyan will actually die or pass away. Insane sacrilegious things going on. And in page 9, very sad, but we have the entire Dabura versus Mahoraga fight off screen. I'm not liking how literally the entire ending has been off screen. It's like, this isn't good. Like, the problem, and I keep saying this of Gege, problem, it's just a repeat of original Jujutsu Kaisen. It is not that Gege is bad at writing, it's that he just doesn't show a lot of things. And he's doing it once again by skipping everything. Skipping over the Tsurugi conclusion, skipping over what happened there, skipping over bringing Yuji, quickly rushing into all of this, skipping over the Mahoraga fight. I don't like this at all. I'll talk about it more at the end of the video, but I'm not even angry. I'm just disappointed, honestly, because he's just doing the same thing he did of original JJK that I thought he wasn't going to do. But we see Dabura in Africa taking the black robe. Maru says, "Forgive me, Dabura." Maru says, "I defiled the pride of a warrior by interfering with the duel." And this basically explains that maybe it was Maru who gave him the hint of a barrier or a domain, which would make sense. That was a theory we all had to check. And that time as well, I didn't understand anything. Maru is referring to the time he stepped in when duel. Even so, I humbly ask you this. I suppose I'm the only one who should return to Sumeru. Isn't that the only way for the girl to be safe? So something happened off screen and the Mahoraga fight didn't end. So it sounds like Dabura hasn't killed Mahoraga. Mahoraga is still around because he didn't kill that girl. Mahoraga is still alive. If Dabura killed Mahoraga, Yuka would be dead. But they're saying Dabura needs to leave Earth so that the ritual can be nullified and Yuka can be saved. Now all of this just sounds pretty stupid to me, because there is somebody in the room who can one-shot Mahoraga, being Itadori Yuji, and he's not part of the ritual, so he would nullify it that well. I don't get why like these simple things are being not talked about all, especially when Yuji is right there. None of this makes any sense. I don't get why they're doing this option. I really don't. And then the black rope just came out of nowhere. Like suddenly they found the black rope, which was impossible for months and months, but it's like when the plot demanded it, they found it just suddenly, I guess. Or was this found over the past 2-3 months? I don't really know, because everything is just not being explained. A lot of things are just being off screen. It's very chaotic, it's very cluttered, it's very sudden and just too fast, skipping over too many important things. If it's just the two of us, the current Maru can carry, right? I came to Earth to keep my promise to Dura. Maru, you're okay now? Yeah, and my jutsu is over, and have you changed a little bit, Dabura? Maru even notices the change of Dabura after that massive fight with Manga. Dabura says, not really, it's just that I finally caught up to you, Warrior, big brother. And then her name being Supiejo, or how you say his name, Supijo, how you say her name, but she's actually the little sister of Dabura. I thought, I just took a wild guess, maybe she's the older sister, but I guess not. But he says, Supiejo, let's go home. With the power of the black rope, the curse of the Diskunte chief has been broken, and there is nothing left to bind you anymore, Dabura. Thank you, Maru, thank you, bye, I'm showing me again. Yeah, the Diskunte chief and the entire Diskunte clan is getting wiped off the map. He's dead, man. It's over. Like, he already marked, Dabura before was already strong enough to wipe the planet off existence, like to wipe the whole planet off, right? Now he's got reverse curse technique reversal, sublight speed movement, domain expansion. Like, the planet is cooked. They don't even have simple domains on the planet. Not that matter. Guy's moving at sublight speed, like it's game over for the planet. I shouldn't say the planet, but at least the Sukuna chief and his boy. Page 12. Now this is where things are gonna get controversial. Beautiful page. We can see Cross, Yuka, Tsurugi, and even right here, Maru's got his hand up saying, "Thank you, Yuji Itadori. I'm truly sorry. This is good. Are you sure you're done? You still have one big job left, don't?" As Yuji says to Maru. Page 13. But I think there's something I should do myself. We'll see. Well, I'll leave the rest to you. As they both say that to each other, we can see the world is being affected. All of Japan is being affected by Maru's technique. Page 14, a beautiful page as he's looking down upon the city. Curse spirits of earth, it is a great sin. That's right. For me, my resolve was not enough. And then in page 15, bearing the burden of sin and resolve, I'm sorry. At least rest peacefully, saying to the cursed spirits. And we see somebody grabs his hand, and it is Cross right next to him. Page 16. Let's do this. Just as Tsurugi and Yuka come as well. It's okay, everyone's here. So there's either two things going on. Either physically this is happening, and there was another time skip which could be possible because Gege is just throwing time around and skipping everything with no indication that he's doing it. So very easily from the time Yuji said bye, it could even be days after that time. Maybe not because, you know, he's still got the cut and injuries on him. You can even see from Tsurugi, but it could even be a few hours. Like genuinely, we don't know. Or another possibility, because they're on the passage of souls. This is a very dark option, by the way, because I don't think this is true because they wanted to save Yuka, so that's why I don't think this is the case. But either Ross, Tsurugi, and Yuka died, and they're helping Maru one last time before they pass off to the afterlife because Maru isn't going to die. Again, I don't think so because the whole point of Dabura leaving is to save Yuka, so it'd be strange if Yuka died as well. But I don't know how everyone healed unless Yuji just did something. Page 17, you can see everyone there. Maru's crying and he resolves. Thank you. And then Cross and Maru together use their technique harmony. All you souls with a prayer for peace. The ritual of harmony I shall conduct to completion. Now that is the chapter. Again, please wait for the TCB to get a full review for me. But I have a lot of opinions on this. And I know this isn't the end of JJK Modulo. We still have 2 chapters left. So I'm not going to quickly say, you know, this is a bad ending and everything's very bad. Because I need to see the last 2 chapters to judge. But I can judge so far of what we've gotten and so far of everything that was skipped. I'm just not a fan of how everything is going. There's so many things wrong. The first and biggest issue is the Mary Sue aspect of harmony. This is genuinely just a plot device. Like, there's no nicer way to say it. There's no beating around the bush. It's just a plot device. And it makes me upset to say that because I don't like saying that. I really like Gege AKUTAMI as an author. But this is just nuts because Kenjaku has been trying to do something for 1,000 years. Yuki spent decades researching this. Geto tried to do this as well, like spending over a decade to try and do this. Yet none of them were able to do it. Maru came up with this idea literally on the spot. Like, he just thought, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this, and his technique just allows him to do it. His technique, this is the biggest problem I have, is genuinely the Mary Sue technique. It is the plot device curse technique. Whatever the plot needs to progress, Maru's technique just does. The aliens need to find a mothership, even though they're on a planet that's not even as developed as Earth. Like, it's genuinely like an ancient planet. The technology is not progressed at all. Oh yeah, this technique can just create a mothership right out of this special rock. Oh yeah, how are they gonna find Earth? Oh yeah, this technique has a universal homing range and it finds its way to Earth. How are the aliens gonna communicate with all humans? Like, probably a massive issue. Oh yeah, this technique just affects all people and it allows all of the humans and all of the aliens, 50,000 aliens and 8 billion humans, all of them just communicate each other and understand each other. How? Harmony, you know, it's also hard. Of course. My technique lets me do this, lets me do that. I can freeze water, change the plants and stuff. Like, at least that much makes sense with chaos and harmony, but the stuff it's doing now, are you kidding? Going into the passage of souls? Yeah, my technique allows me to do that. Restoring Mahito's power? Yeah, my technique allows me to do that. Finding the right people for everything? Oh yeah, this is just a side effect of harmony. Affecting all the people of Japan? Yep, my harmony can do that. Literally changing the afterlife itself, the passage of fucking souls. Oh yeah, I can just change it with my harmony technique so it remolds and changes the color of the souls, the shape of the souls, all of the souls. My harmony technique can do that. Like, dude, there's 50 different plot holes that would have existed that just get filled up by the harmony technique solves it. AKUTAMI Gege. This is a plot device. Like, there's no nice way to put it. There's no good way to put it. It's just an excuse for things you can't come up with writing itself, like with your own writing. What he's basically doing is just he created this technique from the beginning to fill every single plot hole or plot point that he wanted. How am I going to change the whole world? Harmony. How do the aliens come here? Harmony. How do they get a spaceship? Harmony. How can they communicate with all the humans? Harmony. How are they going to change the afterlife itself and the souls of people and change the shape of everything? Harmony. How are they going to affect all of the humans on Earth and everyone's going to be dead after this and every single soul? Harmony, harmony, harmony. It sounds like I'm just hearing plot device, and it just seems very lazy. Like, genuinely, instead of it just tackling things maybe in a more realistic sense, like how the aliens going to communicate with the Earthlings, maybe a creative solution. How are they going to do this? How do the aliens find them? How do they make a spaceship? Harmony, harmony. Every answer to everything in this story has been harmony. That's not good writing. Like, if I write a story and my solution to everything is literally creating an ability that it solves every plot, like every plot hole, every issue, just solves it so the plot can progress, that is what we call a plot device. That is what we call a Deus Ex Machina. And another issue I have is the off-screening of things and the rushing of things. This is something Gege did already with the original JJK, and I'm just not a fan of. That's sort of the problem I have, and my biggest one of all this. Like, this sudden, extremely fast pace of just rushing through everything and just trying to get to the end. The biggest way I can excuse Gege is maybe, like we saw in the very beginning, they did say it has to be fit into 3 volumes, so I can only imagine, given it has to be that time frame and it has to end within 25, 26 chapters, like it just has to, like literally can't be more than that, as the deal Gege made with Viz. I can only imagine that maybe Gege just spent too much time doing other things like the Mahoraga versus Dabura fight and all that stuff, and I think he's just trying to quickly squeeze the ending into what he basically can. That doesn't excuse the criticisms of the ending, but that does justify why it went the way it did, and it would explain it at the very least. I like to go with that ending the most because the way it just skipped over everything so fast just to cut to the ending, it just doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense to me. But the answer I gave, like I thought this answer myself, like wait, it has to fit into 3 volumes, it has to be this set of number of chapters, that's the deal he made from chapter 1. I just think maybe Gege just really wanted to do other things, and maybe that's what ended up happening in the end. I don't know, maybe I'm like bailing him out, maybe I'm trying to justify this all being rushed, like the Dabura versus Mahoraga fight being just skipped over entirely, like time just keeps skipping and skipping and skipping, and everything just keeps getting cut. A lot of things aren't getting resolved or shown, like it's just skipping right straight to the ending, and that's the thing, nothing you've gotten is bad, it's just, you know, the skipping of time and not seeing so many things. Funny enough, was my issue of the original JJK ending, which I made a bit-hour video explaining why I didn't like that ending for a similar reason. Now, this is on a minor scale, like it's not as crazy as that, and I guess I kind of had my medicine with Gege, so that's why I'm used to this, but there is still 2 chapters left, so we'll see how it goes, but it's not an issue of what we've gotten. Like, if I had to say everything we've gotten before in JJK, it's not like I'm suddenly saying, oh my god, JJK is so bad, everything was so bad. No, JJK has been amazingly written, like JJK Modulo, themes of coexistence and all of these things, and like everything has been great. It doesn't change the writing or anything for it. I'm just not a fan of it just suddenly rushing like this, and we'll see how it goes from here. Actually, I'm gonna make a separate video from this coming out tomorrow, really going in depth over my opinions on this and why I think this is good or bad, but I hope you can at least get an idea of my opinion. I'm not just suddenly saying JJK Modulo is bad. I think it's great. I just think it's just way too rushed. That's my problem. It's just really rushed, and I'm trying to justify the time frame Gege. But hey, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Be sure to leave a like on the video. It helps out so much. Thank you very much. And of course, subscribe for a ton of consistent and quality JJK Modulo content like this. If you love JJK Modulo, trust me, you're not going to regret subscribing, especially the video coming out tomorrow. But that's all from me. Have a great day, everyone, and take care, guys.